Hello everyone and welcome to Bloodline, the taxonomy of fear, where we examine what, if anything, makes a movie scary.
And this week we are going to examine the subgenre of home invasion horror through the lens of the movie Cherry Tree Lane, which is UK import. And we start the movie with a family just tucking into dinner. Husband and wife sit down when some unexpected visitors come a-knocking. And it turns out their son Seb, who's at soccer practice, he's been a snitchin', and if there's one thing we've learned from movies about the criminal underworld,
Nobody
snitching is
likes a snitch.
Yep, one thing you do not do.
So what defines home invasion horror, Jordan?
Well, the home is the sanctuary, and I think that's the first and foremost point here. You establish the home like they do at the beginning of this movie as a place where you do banal, mundane things when you're just letting your hair down.
Frying bacon in the nude.
Exactly. Maybe just things like that. Well, in a home invasion horror movie, that safety is breached by the people who've come into your ultimate safe space and taken it over and sort of made it their domain.
Number two, the number of perpetrators is generally equal to the number of victims, so there's an evened out balance of power, which eventually switches, well, it leans towards the perpetrators, but then that switches at some point in the movie. And in this movie, that switch happens way late. And I was
way
kind of like,
late.
It happened a little too far towards the end. There was a little bit too much torment happening before the switch happened.
If it wasn't for weed, I'd be popping myself. It's about the one thing that keeps me calm.
And on the note of torment, there's a prolonged period in these movies of a lot of psychological torture. Even if you're not directly interfaced with your assailants as they are in this movie, you're aware of them the entire time in the enclosed space of your home sanctuary, and all those elements sort of come together to rack the brain of the person who's being victimized.
Hours of sleep lost. How many hours did you lose, Jordan?
Well, with this particular movie, I'd say the hours of sleep lost were the hours I spent venting about it afterwards to my friend who I watched it with, because I felt completely left flat by this movie. It had so many tools to succeed. It had very good performances from the actors, I thought. It had a nice use of lack of soundtrack to establish like tension in this empty, audible space. I thought the motivation for the people invading was decent enough, but I don't think it capitalized on any of those tools. I was so incredibly hollow until the last 5 minutes when I had an emotional eruption at the events on screen. But until then, I was just completely disengaged from really the people who were being victimized, and I was not in any way afraid of the people doing the victimizing.
Wow, really? I had a completely different reaction. I lost about 3 hours of sleep because the perpetrators in this movie were young and they were disorganized and therefore more unpredictable. Kind of like baby rattlesnakes are more dangerous than full-grown rattlesnakes because they can't control their venom.
Sure.
And I think the ambiguous ending was what troubled me the most, because the father is left with this key decision and it ends right there. And I felt like the director was asking us what we would do in that situation, and I realized what I would do was totally not pretty.
And I thought that was a nice use of device. Like, that was another one of those tools where it could have been so right. And the last few minutes of the movie were really satisfying for me in several ways. But until that moment in time, it was just like, I mean, I might as well have been frying bacon in the nude. Like, it would have been more satisfying.
Both of us frying bacon in the nude.
Yeah. All right, Jay, you've ended up in the perilous situation of home invasion.
Oh, no.
What have you learned from Cherry Tree Lane?
Number one, a butter knife is used for spreading butter. A steak knife is used for cutting through duct tape.
Yeah, getting the job done. And if you want to decorate your home in a functional manner, maybe adorn your living space with large, blunt instruments to take the place of the weapon that you don't have. Like, for example, I don't know, a 3.5 foot tall candelabra that you found in the attic.
Where could we get one of those?
Gosh, I don't know.
And number three, keep your emergency calls short and concise, particularly if somebody's exsanguinating upstairs.
This is the time when you pull out your inner American and stop being so British. Enough with the, oh, please, do you know when you might be arriving? Do you have an estimated time of your, oh, thank you so much, I really appreciate that.
At that point in the movie, I would have been all American. I would have been like, get here now, click.
Oh yeah, victim on my rampage, that operator. All right, your video pick of the week, Jay.
I'm going to recommend, but not recommend, Michael Haneke's Funny Games. This movie is only for the hardcore horror fan because it wrecked me for weeks. I totally do not recommend it.
Yeah, I rescind that recommendation. And I'm going to go with another movie from 2007, a French film called Inside, directed by Alexandre Bustillo and Julien Marie. And it is part of what is called the new French extremity of movies. And this stuff gets pretty grisly. A pregnant woman is trapped in her home and being attacked by a woman who wants that baby inside her one way or another.
Those French are très cray.
Super savage.
So that's it for this episode of Bloodline. Email us at bloodline@wired.com. We'd like to hear from you. And as we like to say here at Bloodline, it's just a movie. Jordan, God, really get over it.
I mean, really bad.